I still can't believe I'm writing this, but y'all wanted the full story after my previous post blew up, so here we go. Fair warning, this is going to be a long one, so grab your White Claw and get comfy. It was Valentine's Day last year, and I was so excited because Owen, my boyfriend of 2 years, had made reservations at this super fancy restaurant in Manhattan. You know, the kind where they have those tiny portions that cost more than your weekly grocery budget, but the ambiance is to die for. I spent 3 hours getting ready. New dress from Nordstrom Rack that I'd been saving for a special occasion, hair done just right, the whole 9 yards. We get to the restaurant and everything seems perfect. The lighting is dim and romantic. There's a single rose on the table, and Owen looks amazing in this blue button-down that brings out his eyes. I remember thinking, damn, I really hit the jackpot with this one. We order champagne, toast to our relationship, and I'm feeling on top of the world. Throughout dinner, Owen seemed a little off, checking his phone more than usual, fidgeting with his napkin, that kind of thing. But I brushed it off, maybe work stress or something. The food was incredible. I had this melt-in-your-mouth filet mignon that I still dream about sometimes. Then comes dessert time. They bring out this gorgeous chocolate souffle with Happy Valentine's Day written in raspberry sauce. I'm taking pictures for the gram when Owen clears his throat and says, Jess, I need to tell you something. Y'all, the look on his face. I knew whatever was coming wasn't good. He takes a deep breath and says, I've been seeing someone else. It's Melissa from work. I literally froze with my fork halfway to my mouth. Melissa? That girl from marketing, he'd mentioned a few times? The one who always brought homemade cookies to office parties? Before I could even respond, he continues, but it's not what you think. It's just, she buys me things. Expensive things. I'm sitting there in shock, trying to process what I'm hearing. This man, who I thought was the love of my life, is telling me he's been cheating on me. For gifts? Like he's some kind of sugar. Baby? What things? I managed to ask, my voice barely above a whisper. That's when he glances down at his wrist and I follow his gaze to the watch. The watch. The beautiful Tissot chronograph he'd given me for Christmas, saying he'd been saving. Up for months. The watch I'd been so touched by because it was way out of our usual gift budget. The watch I'd literally cried over because it seemed like such a meaningful gesture. This watch? I ask, even though I already know the answer. He nods, looking almost relieved to get it off his chest. And a few other things. The AirPods Max, that weekend in the Hamptons, the Yeezy sneakers. All gifts he'd given me over the past 6 months, all apparently from her. So you've been sleeping with her for, what? Free stuff? I can feel my voice rising, and people at nearby tables are starting to glance our way. It's not like that, he says, having the audacity to look offended. We just hang out sometimes, and she likes to buy me things. It's harmless. Harmless? This man really thought cheating and lying to me for months was harmless? I don't even remember making the decision. 1 second, I'm sitting there, staring at him in disbelief, and the next, my glass of Cabernet is emptying all over his pristine blue shirt and designer jeans, probably also from Melissa. The restaurant goes silent. Owen is standing there, red wine dripping from his chin, looking absolutely stunned. I grab my purse, stand up, and say loud enough for everyone to hear, the watch looks fake anyway. Enjoy your sugar, mama. And I walked out, straight out into the cold February air, tears streaming down my face, but feeling oddly powerful. I took the subway home, crying the whole way, but also planning. Because if there's one thing I'm good at, it's turning lemons into a freaking lemonade empire. When I got back to my apartment, I noticed all the little reminders of Owen everywhere. His Xbox controller on the coffee table, his fancy beard trimmer in the bathroom, the drawer full of his clothes for when he stayed over. And I had a revelation. These weren't just reminders of my heartbreak, they were assets. The next morning, while Owen was blowing up my phone with apologies and excuses, I was creating listings on eBay, Poshmark, and Facebook Marketplace. His limited edition Jordans? Gone. The expensive noise-canceling headphones? Sold. That vintage leather jacket he treasured? Shipped off to some hipster in Portland. Within a week, I'd made nearly $3,000 selling all his precious belongings. And you know what I did with that money? I donated every single penny to a women's shelter downtown. Turned pain into purpose, right? Meanwhile, Karma was working overtime on Owen. Turns out, Melissa had been bragging to coworkers about her boy toy, who would do anything for Cartier. When the story of our Valentine's Day disaster made its way through the office grapevine, with help from my bestie who works in the same building, both Owen and Melissa got called in for violating company dating policies. Apparently sleeping with coworkers and essentially exchanging gifts for favors is frowned upon in corporate America. Who knew? Owen lost his job. Melissa, being the daughter of some big shot at the company, just got transferred to another department. But she also lost interest in Owen pretty quickly once she realized he was unemployed and couldn't wear her gifts around the office anymore. Talk about conditional love, am I right? A month after our breakup, I was finally starting to feel like myself again. I'd thrown myself into my jewelry design hobby, something Owen had always dismissed as cute but impractical. I was making these unique statement pieces inspired by my journey through heartbreak, and my friends were obsessed with them. Then one rainy evening, there's a knock at my door. I open it, and there's Owen, looking like absolute trash, unshaven, wearing clothes that clearly hadn't been washed in days, eyes bloodshot. Jess, he says, his voice cracking. I need help. I got evicted. Can I crash here for a few days? Or just, can you loan me $300 for a hostel? I stared at him for a good 30 seconds, taking in how far the mighty had fallen. This man who had made me feel worthless, who had cheated on me for material gain, was now asking me for money. No, I said simply. But I hear Melissa has a nice place. Maybe she'll buy you a hotel room if you ask nicely. The look on his face was worth more than any watch could ever be. I closed the door, went back to my workbench, and finished creating what would become the first piece in my Phoenix Rising collection, now available at Bloomingdale's, by the way. Updated. Okay, so many of you have been DMing me asking for updates on the Owen situation and wanting to know more about how I turned this whole mess into something positive. Buckle up, because the post-Valentine's Day saga has more twists than a Netflix series. After I slammed the door in Owen's face that rainy night, I honestly thought that would be the end of our story. But like that horror movie villain who just won't stay down, he kept finding ways to pop back into my life. About a week after the "Can I have $300" incident, I started getting calls from random numbers. When I finally answered one, it was Owen's mom. Now, I'd always gotten along well with his family. They were down-to-earth people from New Jersey who seemed nothing like their manipulative son. His mom was in tears, saying Owen had told her I'd stolen and sold all his possessions out of spite, and was now refusing to help him in his time of need. Y'all, I lost it. I spent a good 20 minutes giving her the unfiltered version of events, the cheating, the lies, the gifts that weren't really from him. There was dead silence on the other end when I finished, then a very quiet, "I see." She apologized for bothering me and hung up. Later that day, I got a text from her saying simply, "He's not welcome at home either now. Thank you for your honesty." Harsh? Maybe. But play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Meanwhile, I was channeling all my anger and disappointment into my jewelry designs. There's something therapeutic about taking raw materials and transforming them into something beautiful. I started with simple pieces, wire-wrapped crystals and beaded bracelets, but quickly moved on to more complex designs using silver and semi-precious stones. I set up an Etsy shop on a whim, naming it Phoenix Designs, subtle I know, and posted a few pieces with the story of their inspiration, rising from the ashes of betrayal. I woke up the next morning to find I'd sold out completely. Turns out, jewelry with a revenge backstory really resonates with people. By April, I'd quit my soul-sucking corporate job to focus on jewelry full-time. Was it scary? Absolutely. I lived on ramen and PB&J for months. But for the first time, I was creating something that felt meaningful, and the response was incredible. Then came what I now call the Bloomingdale's miracle. I was at a craft fair in Soho, and this stylish woman spent forever at my booth, asking about my techniques and materials. I assumed she was just another browser, but she handed me her card as she left. She was a buyer for Bloomingdale's, and she wanted to feature my Valentine's Day collection in stores. I literally ugly cried right there in the middle of the craft fair. Fast forward to the holiday season, and there I was, standing in Bloomingdale's, watching people actually buy my designs. The collection, which I named Sweet Revenge, the marketing team loved the backstory, featured heart-shaped pieces with unexpected twists, like arrows piercing through or delicate cracks with gold filling, inspired by the Japanese art of kintsugi. The symbolism of beauty and brokenness resonated with so many people. Of course, because the universe has a twisted sense of humor, that's when I ran into Melissa. She was shopping with friends and did a double take when she saw me behind the display. "Jess," she said, looking genuinely surprised. "This is yours?" I smiled my best retail smile. "Yep, all inspired by that Valentine's Day revelation. So really, I should thank you." Her friends looked confused, and Melissa turned a shade of red I didn't think was humanly possible. But instead of slinking away, she actually stayed and looked at the pieces. "They're beautiful," she admitted finally. "Owen never mentioned you were so talented." "Owen never noticed," I replied. "Speaking of, how is he these days?" Her expression darkened. "No idea. After we both got in trouble at work, I cut him off. Last I heard, he was trying to sell that watch I gave him, but it turned out to be a really good fake. He was furious." I couldn't help but laugh. The watch that had been the symbol of his betrayal was itself a lie. You can't make this stuff up. As for Owen himself, I kept hearing snippets about his downward spiral through mutual friends. After losing his job, apartment, and sugar mama, he'd been couch surfing with increasingly distant acquaintances. When those options dried up, he apparently started hanging around Times Square with a cardboard sign, the ultimate cliche of a fall from grace in NYC. My roommate Tanya swears she saw him outside Port Authority, trying to sell sketchy CBD gummies to tourists. Another friend claimed he's working as one of those costume characters in Times Square, the kind that take photos with tourists for tips. The mental image of Owen sweating inside a knockoff Elmo costume while posing with Midwest families is both sad and hilarious. I'd love to say I'm totally over it all, that I've reached some zen state where I wish him well, but I'm only human. There's still a part of me that feels vindicated knowing that his actions had consequences. Is that petty? Maybe. But it's honest. The most surprising outcome of this whole saga has been the community I've found. After sharing bits of my story on social media to promote my jewelry, I started getting messages from other women who'd been through similar experiences. We formed this informal support group, the Phoenix Club we jokingly call it, and meet monthly for wine and empowerment talks. It's wild how many women have had partners who used them, lied to them, or made them feel small. But it's even more incredible to see how these same women have rebuilt themselves, often emerging stronger and more successful than before. Last month, one of the Phoenix Club members helped me secure a small business loan to open my own studio space in Brooklyn. It's tiny and the heating is questionable, but it's mine. No fake watches, no strings attached. I had a launch party for the space last weekend, and as I looked around at all the people who'd supported me through this journey, from my day one, customers to my fellow Phoenix Club members, I realized something profound. Owen's betrayal wasn't the end of my story. It was just the inciting incident. The real story has been everything that came after. The growth, the community, the creation of something meaningful from something painful. So here I am, almost a year after that disastrous Valentine's dinner, preparing to launch my biggest collection yet. And while part of me will always carry the scars of what happened, they're now embedded with gold, like my designs, more valuable and beautiful because of the breaking, not despite it. Final update. You guys won't believe what happened yesterday. I was at my studio working on the spring collection when my assistant, yes, I have an assistant now, still can't believe it, said there was someone asking for me at the front. I walked out and there was Owen, clean-shaven, wearing a decent but clearly budget suit, looking both nervous and determined. Before you kick me out, he said quickly, I just want to say I'm sorry, truly sorry. I stood there, arms crossed, waiting for the catch. I hit rock bottom after everything, he continued. Lost everything, was actually sleeping in a shelter for a while. But I'm 6 months sober now, working an entry-level job at a nonprofit, ironically helping homeless people find housing. He shifted awkwardly. I saw your jewelry in a magazine. I'm really proud of you, Jess. I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to slam the door in his face again, but another part recognized something genuine in his eyes that had been missing before. Thank you for telling me, I said finally. I wish you well, Owen. I really do. As he turned to leave, he paused. The shelter I stayed at, it was funded by the same women's organization you donated to when you sold my stuff. Your donation helped people like me. Funny how life works, huh? With that, he was gone. And I stood there realizing that sometimes closure comes in the most unexpected packages. I don't know if I've forgiven him completely, but I'm at peace knowing we've both found our ways forward from that wine-soaked Valentine's Day. Life's not about the watches we wear. It's about the time we make, and mine has never been more precious than it is now. Smile emoji.